This is culturally inappropriate.
Happy Monday. Good morning. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 30th. We are at the last day of the month. Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. It's good to be alive and back here on the Flex Zone podcast. Only place giving you sports how you want and when you need it. With yours truly, God's favorite host. Throw your ones up, acknowledge us. Hope everyone's having a great morning so far. Playoff baseball is here. October is literally the next day on the calendar, and it's nothing like postseason baseball. I always say this time of year is really, really second to none. You have college football, you have the NFL, you have baseball heading into the playoffs. The NBA is getting ready to rev up. The National Hockey League is getting ready to start. There are a lot of things going on in the world of sports, and it's just a good time to be a sports fan because there's literally a point where there's going to be something to watch sports wise each and every day. But make sure if you're new to the chat, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell. And if you're watching on X, come on over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see. We will talk about it with you here on the channel as we do cover so much, lots of content to get lost in. So make sure you check us out. Hit the bell to know when all the new content drops. Leave a comment in the chat. And as always, you can super chat us to support what we do here. And the Cash App is in the ticker down below. A lot to talk about as the baseball season is here, but let's take it to the Orioles. You guys know we cover the O's here. Now, they did have an end of season press conference on yesterday. I do want to start there because I got some tweets and I got some information from Tony Manzolino and Mike Elias. Tony Manzolino led off speaking first. Mike Elias spoke second. Now, when this was announced, I was a little taken back because why would they have a press conference with Tony Manzolino, who's the interim manager? Are they going to announce he's the manager full time? I was a proponent of just letting Tony Manzolino have this year coming up, 2026, and the Orioles do everything they can to go all in and make a run. Then after that, you make moves. You know, if you got to trade Adley, you make it happen. If you're not going to sign Gunner, you make a way for him to possibly be trade optioned because we know he's going to be worth $500 million. But I believe this season was the first time since 2015 no hitters in baseball. The Baltimore Orioles didn't even have a guy who could hit 20 home runs. So they end the season 75-87, way below expectations, obviously. I thought this was at least a ball club that would be 500. Obviously, the injuries, the starting pitching inconsistencies, the lack of a bullpen post-trade deadline, the exodus of players at the trade deadline, veteran leadership, guys who were top-notch producers, the offensive inconsistencies, guys having decreases, nobody really increasing outside of a Jackson Holiday to a degree. You found guys like Jeremiah Jackson. Dylan Beavers looks to be the real deal. Samuel Basayo gets the extension. He looks to be the future as well. Adley gets hurt. Jordan Westberg can't stay healthy. Cowser gets hurt that first series in Toronto. Terrible April. Terrible May. You know, they dug themselves so deep in a hole it was hard to get out of. But with the 75-87 record, as I mentioned, 60-59 under Manzolino. So one game over 500 in his limited time as a manager. The Orioles, great news, ladies and gentlemen, will have a 9.24% chance to receive the number one overall pick in the 2026 Major League Baseball Amateur Draft. Great news there because with the goofiness of the collective bargaining agreement in Major League Baseball, which actually expires after next season, so 2027, you can't have back-to-back number one picks. You can't have top 9 overall picks back-to-back years as well. So teams like the Rockies and the White Sox can't be the number one pick, but the White Sox after last season have a terrible season, not able to get the number one pick last year. Rockies this season having a top 4 pick. I think they took Jackson's brother, Ethan Holiday. They don't have a number one overall pick. They were terrible. But 9.24% chance to get the number one overall selection, which is dope. So shout out to them. I hope they do have a chance to get a top. I don't think they're getting number one. That would be a nice consolation prize. We know how great Michael Elias is and how much I praise him for his scouting and development. But you look at the top picks: 19 Rushman, 2 and 1920 Heston Kjerstad at number 2, Colton Cowser at number 5, and Jackson Holliday. And right now, the only guy we know that's going to probably be here long term, and Adley still has 2 years left, Gunner 3 years left going into 2026. I mean, what is Adley's future? Do they trade him? They said they're not going to trade him, which we'll get to, but do they trade him? Do they take the bait if they get the right deal? Colton Cowser and Kjerstad, we'll get to them as well. Cowser barely above the Mendoza line, but you see the power, capable on defense. I think he could have a bounce back year next year if he's given the opportunity. Jackson Holliday seems to be a potential 2020 guy. Hopefully, he can continue to be that. But we don't know if he's a leadoff guy. We don't know if Gunner's a leadoff guy. We don't know if they have a leadoff guy. I like Jackson at leadoff. I think they need to keep him there. And let's see what Jackson Holliday can do this season. Now, we did hear and see Manzolino. He has been told by Mike Elias he's under consideration for the managerial job. We'll get to the openings in Major League Baseball as of today, but you see Manzolino, he is in the running. I didn't have a problem with Manzolino. I thought early on he was a little above his head, but he seemed to right the ship quickly. The players seem to play hard for him. He has the ear to the players. They seem to respect him. He seems to be the type of manager that's not going to throw anybody under the bus. He's not going to cause an uproar in the locker room. He's not even going to be a rah-rah guy. He's going to be calm, cool, collected, and he's going to be an even kill manager. And to some degree, not saying there's anything wrong with it, he's going to be a yes man. He's going to do what Mike Elias and David Rubenstein ask him to do. He is going to walk that fine line of professionalism, but also being able to not embarrass or throw anybody under the bus or hurt anyone's egos. And these players know him, they're familiar with him, so it's a connection there. So I don't think he did a bad job. I think more experience. He will, I think, one day be a manager if it's not in Baltimore. And he said himself, love the confidence. I do feel strong that I passed with flying colors. Hard to say that when you're one game over 500, but I think he showed his capability to get better as the season went along, use the coaches around him. I like to see him talking to the other coaches, seems to be very engaged with the players, knows, things they need to do well, and critiquing them constructively in a positive way, as I said. Now, Mike Elias said it will be a search for the club's vacant manager, but Tony Manzolino will be considered. I would have just rather them come out and say, hey, we're going to give him the job and we're going to go and see what happens in 2026. And they also mentioned David Rubenstein's ownership group, Kyle Ripken, many others, Marion Barry. Who else is in ownership? Grant Hill. They're going to be part of the managerial search as well. Like I said, there's not really anybody out there that I'm head over heels for. Most of them are either over the hill or they're in a situation where I don't really know much about them as well. Michael Elias said experience is something that will be a factor. It will be an attractive feature by and large. So it looks like they want an experienced guy, a guy who comes in, commands the room, a guy who has been there before. And I would not be opposed to that. But I do want someone who also is not too old school that they can't incorporate some of the newer things like analytics, which aren't the end all be all, but they are part of the numbers and how this organization does things. So I do want to see how they maneuver that because I think with this announcement, this is saying they're going to consider Tony Manzolino. Maybe they want to keep him around, but maybe they don't want him as the manager. We talked about Heston Kjerstad, 2025 to forget. He's been working with the Orioles doctors on a medical condition. He's in a good spot right now and heading in a good direction. We're expecting to see him in spring training. So we missed the real Heston Kjerstad this year. We definitely did. And I don't know how much longer his time in Baltimore is really going to be left. Like I said, he'll be on the roster next year. But am I expecting him to be one of the 3 outfield starters? No. Am I expecting him to be the 4th outfielder? No. But maybe he can start out on AAA and work his way up to the main roster. Mike Elias on the Orioles' disappointing season. We're all ashamed by this and motivated by it. Mike Elias also said the Samuel Basallo extension doesn't impact the organization's view of Adley Rutschman. He mentioned Adley Rutschman is going to be the starting catcher. He will be a cornerstone of the Orioles moving forward. I do want to see how the dynamic of Adley and Samuel Basayo work out. I do think Ryan Mountcastle has possibly played his last game in Birdland. I do think Kobe Mayo could be an attractive trade piece, but I would like to see Kobe Mayo remain in Baltimore to see what he could be, getting better at first base, the athleticism, the power. Started to see it at the end of the year, hit the ball really well in September. I want to see what Kobe Mayo can do here in Baltimore as well. Now, Michael Elias did open his press conference by thanking the Orioles fans. He says, and I quote, I want to thank all of you and the fans and the very, very many people that care about the team and this franchise for your support this season and the ongoing support and fandom that you provide for our players. This was a difficult and trying year, and we appreciate you believing in these guys and hanging with these guys. So shout out to the fans. Yeah, we hung with them. We know how it goes. It is what it is. And I mean, I didn't have World Series expectations for this team. I actually didn't even really think they were a playoff team based on the offseason moves and the injuries early on. But for them to not fold under Manzolino and actually play better, that is a testament to these players in the locker room. I'm not mad at that. Mike Elias on David Rubenstein's willingness to spend. We know this is a hot topic amongst the community of Orioles fans. He says in our quote, they're going to make available everything we need to be responsibly invest in the team. You don't want to be wasteful. You don't want to do it for its own sake. I agree. You don't want to just spend money for the sake of spending money. But he also said, but these guys are a huge positive. I'm blessed to have that behind me. I think David Rubenstein wants to win. He doesn't have a lot of time left. He wants to bring a World Series back to Baltimore. Hasn't been one since 1983. I think they are willing to spend. But as Michael Elias said, you don't want to be wasteful. But when you hear responsibly invest, you hope that's not a cop out for cheap and bargain bin basement shopping. But they're going to need a starter or two or three. They're going to need a bullpen arm or two or three. What do? I don't know. Do they spend that kind of money? No. Do they make 7 or 8 different trades with all of the stockpile pick of young talent they have now at their disposal with the trade deadline? I don't think so, because it's going to be hard to make that many trades in an off season. Really, the main time you see moves made are the winter meetings. I want the Orioles to make a move in the winter meetings, at least one move. Don't wait until the ninth hour. Don't wait until we're about to get started with spring training and it's the end of January, early February. I want to see them make moves around the winter meetings. I want to see them make moves around the time where moves are made towards the end of December, hitting into the new year, early January. I want to see them in the mix. I want to not only hear them being mentioned as, oh, they were in the conversation. They were one of the teams on the list. I want to see that they got a guy or two, because I think you're going to have to spend money on at least 1 to 2 players. Now, do you want to give a pitcher $300 million? I don't. But if it brings you a World Series in the first 2 or 3 years, you live with the result. You're going to have to spend for something. I'm of the mindset you give Eflin a 1-year extension. If he doesn't take it, you get the draft pick. If not, he makes 20 mil, 24 for 1 year. You have Eflin, you have Bradish, you have Wells, you have Rogers, you have Kramer. You need to sign at least one big name frontline starter. And I think you need to, like I said, sign at least one closer type that can really shut down the game. So those are 2 pitchers right there you're going to need to sign. And you're going to need to really spend to get someone. And I don't know the crop of free agents, not anybody I've seen in my really minimal browsing that knocks my socks off, but we shall see. When asked if he wants to acquire a number 3 starting pitcher this offseason, they should be asking if he wants to acquire number 1, because they drop like flies. You can never have too much pitching. Michael Elias says he wants a strong front half of the rotation guy to go along with Kyle Bradish and Trevor Rogers. We'll be on the hunt for pitching improvements in that area and others. Obviously, we know that Tyler O'Neill was a big disappointment. Was supposed to come in and replace Anthony Santander. From what I see as an evaluator, the talent is there. I mean, the power, the swing, the way he moves in the outfield, that is in there. He wasn't able to express the type of production that he's done in the best years this year because he wasn't available that much. That's been a part of history, and we know that. Hit 199 in 54 games after signing $49.5 million contract. Yeah, he signed Tyler O'Neill, excuse me. He's going to opt back in. It's a miss so far. It is a miss, and I'm not going to lie. It is definitely a miss, and it's something you got to live with. When you play with the big boys, when you spend money, it sometimes does not go in your favor. And Tyler O'Neill was someone I probably would not have pursued, and now he kind of is creating a logjam because is he a right fielder every day? Probably not. Is he a center fielder? No. Who is the center fielder? Is it Cowser? Is it Beavers? Is Beavers going to play in left? Do you do Cowser in center? Enrique Bradfield Jr. isn't ready yet. That is going to be very, very interesting to see. Like I said, Tyler O'Neill maybe as a DH type. They need a right-handed bat. Could he provide that? I mean, there are a lot of ways that it could go. So we shall indeed see. He is bullish on Grayson Rodriguez. I think he's kind of an underdog, under the radar mentality right now, which is good. I think he's due for some good luck on the injury front after what happened last year. They're saying he's going to be ready for who? He said he's going to be ready for spring training. I'm knocking on wood if you can't hear that because I am not going to hold my breath. If he pitches at any point next year, I'll be pleasantly surprised and he'd be a welcome addition. That could be an in-house solution, but I don't know. I think something's still fishy, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get to spring training and somehow, some way, he's close to possibly having to get some type of surgery again, which would suck. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens there. And Adley's the guy. You know, he squashes trade rumor, says Adley is the guy as well. Bruce Bochy is leaving the managers. So here are the managerial openings: Rangers, Giants, Twins, Orioles, Rockies, Nationals, and Angels potentially. As mentioned, the Orioles have potentially the best opening because they have the young core of talent, the potential of the farm system. You're in a tough division, but you got a lot of young building blocks to work with that are controllable for another 2 to 3 year window. And that's going to be the interesting aspect because what does Mike Elias do this offseason? Apparently, he got a promotion of some sort. He got moved to president, so he's still going to do GM like things. So I guess hire a GM, then a manager, or they're just going to hire a manager and then have the GM position open, then bring someone in after potentially. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I am not holding my breath. Like I said, I'm not gonna, assume anything. I really don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see what happens there. But let's get to why we're all here today as the MLB playoffs start in less than an hour. That's why I want to come on here live with you guys and preview the field and really see how we see this playing out because it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, the postseason is indeed a wildcard matchup start today. They are a best of 3 series, ladies and gentlemen. So we will let's start with Tigers Guardians. Let's start in the American League. The two AL Central teams getting reacquainted. They'll be kicking off the action today at 1 p.m. That is going to be interesting because the Tigers have kind of faltered. Not kind of. They've fallen off the face of the earth the last 2 months of the season, and it sucks because Tarek Skubal deserves better. AJ Hinch deserves better, and we'll see what happens today. Cleveland has the home field as it looks like the Guardians did win the American League Central after the epic collapse by the Tigers, but the Tigers are able to fend off the Astros and still make it into the postseason, limping in, as I say. They only won the division by 1 game, and Tar Scuba going up against Gavin Williams. You would have to think the Tigers have to win game 1 because, and like I said, what I have to say is, and real quick, Don Kelly with the Pirates went 59-65. He is extended with the Pirates, and Carlos Mendoza 172 and 152 record as the Mets manager. Real quick on the Mets. The Mets, man, they choked it away. They really choked it away, and they deserve better. Does their fan base, and we'll get to them in a second. They're keeping their manager Carlos Mendoza, but let's look at the Guardians and the Tigers because this is going to be a fun one, I think. This is going to be a fun series, in my opinion, because I do think that these two teams know each other very, very well. And it's a divisional matchup, as mentioned. So they played each other, 13 times now. So it'll be maybe another 2 minimum, at least 15 times they've played them. So that's going to be something there as well. Game 1 is today at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Game 2, Wednesday, 1 p.m. I love how baseball just gets right to it. They play every day. And then Game 3 will be Thursday, 1 p.m. as well. And the Guardians would have home field throughout for all 3 games. Now, Cleveland won 8 of 13 in 2025 in the AL charter members. They've split 2,344 games since 1901, including the postseason, each team winning 1,166 times with 12 ties. They met in last year's divisional series, won by Cleveland in 5 games after the Guardians rallied from a 2-1 deficit. This will be their second postseason series. They both clinched on the second to last day of the season, and they both held back their aces for game 1 of the wild card. So we'll get a matchup, a first-rate matchup. Tarek Skubal, AL Cy Young guy, likely to be voted winner again. It'll be his second consecutive award. And Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams has cemented his ace status, 1.96 ERA since August 1st. Skubal will be making his third consecutive start against the Guardians. One faithful inning in his last start helped Cleveland beat Skubal and win the tiebreaker. So he wasn't at his best last time he was out there as well. Kerry Carpenter will be a guy to look at. Now, the Guardians may go with 3 right-handed starting pitchers. It'll be Gavin Williams today, as mentioned, at wonderful 1.96 ERA since August 1st. Tanner Bybee, who's really good, and Slade Cezzoni. Carpenter figures to start for the Tigers in all 3 games. He played exclusively against right-handers, hit 23 of 26 home runs in 2025. He can be a jolt in the Tigers lineup. That's been the question for them. Do they have the offense? I don't know if they do. Even if they get past Cleveland, having to go play Seattle, I don't know if they have enough. Last year in the division series, he did have a 3-run home run in the 9th that broke a scoreless tie in game 2. He has 6 home runs in 22 regular season games against Cleveland. I think Tarek Skubal is probably, if I had to pick who's going to be the better pitcher today, Skubal, because the track record. I don't know how Williams in this ERA thing is going to work. It could continue or could fall on his face. He could give up 3 or 4 runs in the first inning or something. I think Cleveland, though, having that home field advantage, even if they go down a game, they are always fighting to the last out. Steven Kwan, like we mentioned, the pitching matchup of having Gavin Williams, Bybee, and Cezzoni. Those 3 right there are really good pitchers. I think they can match. Even, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Gavin Williams matches Skubal. And maybe the Guardians know Skubal and just know how to get to him and have his number. Maybe they jump out to an early lead. It could be, who starts fast. Whose offense can wake up first will win this series because the pitching is going to be tough. Now, the Detroit bullpen and the Guardians bullpen, I think, is one of the best in baseball. So the Guardians have an advantage potentially with the depth of their starters because outside of Skubal, it's not much for the Tigers. And their offense, outside of Kerry Carpenter, they have Javi Baez, they have Spencer Torkelson, but are those other guys going to come to the party? Kerry Carpenter, he came to the party last year. He proved it. He's come to the party this regular season. 23 of his 26 home runs against right-handers. He'll get right-handers. Who else in the lineup can join the party with them? So whichever offense can start fast and get out to an early lead against these tough pitchers, and if anyone else on Detroit can come to the party offensively, they have a shot. But I just think the Guardians, they play all 27 outs. The bullpen is locked down, I think, has gotten better throughout the season. They do enough offensively with Quan. I mean, Jose Ramirez is one of the best kept secrets in baseball. I think this goes the distance, 3 games, but I'm going with the Guardians to move on in the American League. Let's go to the matchup we all want to see. Yankees and the Red Sox. This is going to be epic. This is what the networks wanted. This is what we wanted as baseball fans. I mean, love them, I hate them. This is box office as well. And I think, and Alex, I see your questions. I'll get to those in a second. The Red Sox and Yankees game 1 will be tonight, 6 p.m. on ESPN. ESPN's got to be loving. They got all this. Game 2 will be Wednesday p.m. and game 3 necessary Thursday at 6. Go ahead and lock in Thursday, 6 p.m. game 3 because I think this is going the distance. Unfortunately, it's best of 3, all in Yankee Stadium. Now, the Red Sox did go 9-4 against them this season and 5-2 at Yankee Stadium. This will be the 6th postseason series between the two foes. The Red Sox won the most recent meeting in 2021, the wild card, 6-2. And The Red Sox won 8 of the first 9 with the Yankees, and they outscored them 54-31, but 3 of the final 4 went to the Yankees, so I think the tide is shifting. The Red Sox offense was held to 12 runs. Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and 2 of those victories did very, very well. 2 of the lefties in the pitching rotation for the Yankees. Now, Garrett Crochet, maybe potentially AL Cy Young winner as well. Would love to have him in Baltimore, but that didn't happen. It is what it is. He faced the Yankees 4 times this year. Boston won each game. And that makes me believe he could lose today. Left-hander struck out 39 batters, a 0.88 whip over 27 in the third innings, and he held Aaron Judge in check. And he has 2 home runs and 15 at-bats versus Crochet, though. 11 of those remaining 13 at-bats were strikeouts, though. So winning game 1 is going to be the key, and they got to feel confident to the Red Sox about their chance with the Cy Young pitcher on the mound. That's going to be interesting. Now, I do think you heard Boston had dominance early on, then the Yankees as of late, and then Crochet and Fried. That's pretty much a push. Crochet has locked down the Yankees, locked down Judge, but the Yankees' offense, if depth, has been very, very applauded this year. I liked it the offseason. They've even exceeded what I thought. And you see it, Aaron Judge, 205 batting average, 16 home runs, 34 runs batted in, 768, a negative 260 differential. Guys like Mark McGwire, Prince Fielder, Vlad Guerrero. So Aaron Judge, this is going to be a big off or postseason for him because we don't want to go to the offseason again wondering what he's going to do in October because we know he can hit 60 home runs a year. We know he can drive in 100 runs. We know his OPS is going to be over 1,000. And he's going to post most years. He's going to stay healthy as of late. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be the captain. But I don't really know if this has to be the postseason. He is the reason that they get to where they need to go. You know, even a guy like Cody Bellinger, 211, 9 home runs, 39 runs batted in, 14 stolen bases. A lot of these guys in the Yankees lineup that I've just praised, which has a lot of depth and can beat you with more than just Judge and Soto and Stanton like they had last year. And Stanton's having a good year. They have a lot of guys, Ben Rice and Gresham, Trent Gresham, a lot of guys in that lineup. So Jazz Chisholm having a career year. Looking at the resurgence of him back when he was in with the Marlins. So I think the Yankees win. I think the Yankees have too much for the Red Sox. Some injuries to the Red Sox. Roman Anthony. Is Duran not? I don't know. I think Duran's playing, but I think some of the injuries may catch up to the Red Sox. I think Giolito, one of the pitchers, is out as well. So I'm going with the Yankees to face the winner will face an American League team. American League East winners, the Toronto Blue Jays there as well. We'll stay at the bottom of the bracket. Look at the Padres and the Cubs. Game 1 is Tuesday at 3 on ABC. Remember, baseball on ESPN and ABC. Wednesday, 3 p.m. on ABC, and Thursday, 3 Eastern on ABC. Each took 2 of 3 games at home and totaled 25 runs as they split 6 games. But those happened all the way back in April. They haven't met they only met once in the postseason. That was 1984 in NLCS. Padres took the series in 5 games, winning game 4 on a walk-off from Steve Garvey, but lost the World Series in 5 games to the Tigers. Now, the Padres made a lot of moves at the deadline. F those picks, they give it all the draft picks. They're looking for their first World Series. We shall see. The Padres are 19th in OPS against left-handed pitchers and 18th against right-handers, but they lost Ramon Laureano. He's out for this series, at least the wild card round. He broke his finger on September 24th. Matthew Boyd for the Cubs and Shota Imanaga, 2 lefty and a handful of lefty relievers, which the Cubs did a really good job of beefing up their bullpen. That's going to be interesting. Can the Padres offense break through against this pitching staff of the Cubs, especially without Laureano, who's kind of a table setter? You got Luis Ariz, Tatis Jr., Machado, O'Hearn's in there, so we'll see. And San Diego's potential starters are all right-handed, and they just welcomed back the Cubs left-handed bats Kyle Tucker, and he missed nearly a month with the calf strain. And the Padres have won 9 of their last 13 at Wrigley Field, but all the games are in Chicago, so that's going to be interesting to look at. I'm in the Padres. I think they're a tough team. I think they get past the Cubs, and I think we get a situation where they win it in 3 games. I think that offense is ready to explode even without Laureano. I think they do enough And I think these are some fun games. We could maybe even see a situation where there are a lot of runs. I think San Diego wants to make it a track meet, and San Diego's bullpen is just as good, in my opinion, in Chicago. So really, it could come down to which starter. Can the Padres starting pitching contain the Cubs enough to let their offense do what they need to do? Because the Padres going to get you about 5 or 6 runs. Now, can their pitching keep you under 5 or 6? That's the question. So we'll see. But I'm liking the Padres there as well. Imanaga is the only starter in either team's likely three-man rotation who's been in the postseason. Now, Randy Vasquez starts a game for the Padres. That could happen. But the 32-year-old second-year pitcher from Japan, Imanaga, doesn't have big game experience. He started for Japan in the championship game of the 2023 World Baseball Classic, which Japan won 3-2 over the United States. He pitched in front of countrymen during the Tokyo series in March. 3 career starts against the Padres. He's allowed 3 earned runs with 19 strikeouts, 19 in the third inning. So I think whoever wins game 1 will win this series. You got the importance and the likelihood of you winning the series and the percentages and the odds and probability and analytics when you win the first game of a series, especially the shorter the series, a 3-game series, and all 3 games are at the higher seeds location. You got to win game 1. But like I said, for this, if the Cubs can keep the Padres under 5 or 6 runs, they'll have a chance. But I just think the Padres if not now, win. Now they got Laureano through next year, so they maybe could run it back because they did trade for a lot of people that they still have control over. But in a division with the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks are still good. They came on late strong. The Rockies are baseball Siberia, but I think the Giants will be in the mix potentially next year as well. Let's get to the World Series defending champion Dodgers. I mean, I'm picking them. I ain't gonna waste any time. Game 1, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Don't forget West Coast. They're in LA. Wednesday, 9 p.m. on ESPN. Thursday, 9 Eastern on ESPN. The Dodgers dominated the Reds this season, winning 5 of 6, outscoring them 30-15. Yeah, I don't think outside of Hunter Green, Abbott, but can the Reds pitching outside of maybe, the first 2 starters, is their bullpen going to hold up? Is their offense going to be consistent enough? Because they can get hot. They're very enigmatic, but they also can get ice cold, and you don't want to get ice cold like the weather's going to be in a few months here. Now, the teams met just once in the postseason, 1995 divisional series. The Reds, led by NL MVP and future Hall of Famer Barry Larkin, swept the series in 3 games and outscored them 22-7. Maybe it's a reversal where LA outscores, Cincinnati like in the regular season, maybe 25-30-10. The significant difference in their records, the teams are evenly matched in a lot of categories. Similar ERAs, 3.86 for the Reds, 3.95 for the Dodgers. Opponent average, 233 for the Reds, 232 for the Dodgers. But the offensive differences are vast. The Dodgers have a .768 OPS. The Dodgers, like the Yankees used to and the Red Sox, they are that team that works the count. They get on base. They make you throw strikes. They are not going to give in to you. They are going to make you throw a lot of pitches, and it's going to be a tough out each and every time, 1 through 9, up and down the lineup. That 768 OPS, and that might be over 1,000 in this series. The Reds are 10th, 706. The Dodgers outscored the Reds by more than 100 runs and outslugged them by 50 points. If the Dodgers do what they're supposed to do, they might sweep this series. It may not go 3 games, which is what they're going to need because when they start with the Phillies, they're going to need rest. And no Clayton Kershaw on the roster for the Dodgers. Now, they hold them out for the Philly series, give them extra rest, and they go all hands on deck, and they use a lot of starters in the bullpen. They throw guys in there because training, Tanner Scott, they've been a little shaky early on or lately in this season, but that's going to be something to see as well. Cincinnati, they have to limit the damage from the Los Angeles bats. They have to. And they have to get some offense themselves. If not, like I said, it could be in and out. Of course, Showtime, Shohei Ohtani. The first 2-way postseason, he has a chance to dominate. He could pitch if they said it goes to a game 3. Maybe they wait till the Philly series. But 287 ERA, 11.9 Ks per 9 ratio. So they're going to use him in some form or fashion, maybe even to come in and pitch in the bullpen. 2 straight 50-plus home run seasons, 3 straight seasons with an OPS of over 1,000. It's an ever-present weapon. And you think we're not going to get Dodgers Phillies in the second round? I think the Phillies may be too much for him. Not going to lie. I think the Phillies offense, Schwarber, Harper, Trey Turner's back. The pitching has been really good. They've done a lot in the bullpen. I think they get it done. I think the Padres beat the Brewers. I don't trust Milwaukee, just like I don't trust Toronto. I think the Yankees beat them, unfortunately. I think Toronto falters. I think it's a good series. I think it goes six, but I think the Yankees unfortunately get to the arms of the Blue Jays, and I think we get a situation where Aaron Judge, like I said, I think he has a big postseason. I think Cody Bellinger has a big postseason. I think Jazz Chisholm, the guys that have been hitting well all season, I think will continue to hit well for New York. The question for them is, they know Toronto well. The pressure's on Toronto. They're the higher seed. They're at home. It is going to be a best of five, so a little more time to digest and maneuver your starters. That's why it'll be interesting to see because if it does go three games, that would leave only one day of rest in between. Now, having to be in Toronto, two in New York, that could play pivotal in the series. So we'll see. But I'm really loving the Mariners. Get your Trident up. Kyle Riley, the big dumper. I did a video last week, 60 plus home runs. Getting Eugenio Suarez, nailer. We know the pitching with Gilbert. We know the pitching. We know the guys that they have. It's just great. They have a team that I think is of destiny that can at least get to the World Series. And I think they see the Phillies there. I think we get a Seattle Philly World Series. I do think the Phillies are going to take it all because I just think it's now or never for them. They are built to win. Over the last 3 years, you could have made a case they may have been the best team in baseball. They have to. They have a tough road. Crazy enough. Well, I guess you got to get the tougher road, but I don't know. Do the Dodgers want to play the Padres, who they've owned in the postseason, but know them well, or do they want to play the Phillies? I mean, it's going to be whoever wins the Dodgers Phillies series is my pick in the NL, and whoever wins, in my opinion, I think Seattle's to lose. I think Seattle is red hot. Like I said, pitching with Gilbert, pitching with looking at the team. It's just going to be kind of like I said, what happens there, but the pot. I mean, it's crazy. They have a lot of very, very good pieces as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I said, hopefully they didn't peak too early. They got hot down the stretch. Remember after the trade, they had to they had to get everything together and they couldn't get, all of the pieces in the puzzle to fit together. And, you know, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there because, they're getting healthy with their arms. They got Brian Wu, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert. I mean, they got a good Bryce Miller. They have a good rotation. They can go five arms deep with you and the bullpen is better. So they have the pitching to match the offense, and when the offense isn't hitting, they can pitch you. They can outpitch you. So Randy Rosarina, can't forget him. Like I said, the Phillies. It's going to be interesting to see there. So you got Mariners, Phillies in the World Series. I think the TV networks will be cool with that, and I think the Phillies take it all. I think it's their year. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but they've had some good teams, and I like Schwarber a lot. The new Big Poppy. I think they are due baseball wise, and my goodness, would they be unbearable as a fan base with the Eagles looking to go back to back potentially, and now a chance with the Phillies. That is going to be crazy. And I think when what game one is Sunday, the Eagles are in Philly, so that's going to be a crazy day in the city of brotherly love. Now, that's who I'm rocking with. Y'all let me know in the chat who y'all are rocking with there as well. And like I said, we got to talk about this Mets thing real quick. I did have that pulled up. I wanted to talk about that with you guys. Here you go. Because it could be bad. Your team may have not made the playoffs. Your team may have had a terrible, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, you know, looking at Juan Soto. He left for all his money, 800 million, and Aaron Judge has got his team in the postseason yet again. Look at all these blown leads. Are the Ravens and the Mets the same team? I mean, I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused. I don't know what's going to happen with that one, but see all the blown leads. Too many to count. I'm counting what 3, 6, 9. That's at least close to 20 games right there. That's crazy. I mean, this probably could be used for a lot of teams in baseball, but you look at some of the games up to nothing in the six. I mean, what up was that 7-1 in the bottom of the seventh, up 5-1 in the sixth. I mean, up top, score bottom of the ninth. I think I watched that game. That was crazy. Up 5-1 against the Padres. I mean, the Padres they have the type of offense that can do that. They got Lindor, they got Soto. I think Pete Alonso's opting out, so they are going to have some decisions to make. It will be Nick Pivetta, who's really good against Matthew Boyd. That's gonna be a really good matchup in Chicago. That's gonna be interesting. But real quick, just these lone leads, that has Mets and Carlos Mendoza is supposed to be back as well. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That's what they say. Everybody hates the Mets, so there you go. Francisco Lindaz. They call him Lindaz. Francisco Lindaz. There you go. There you go. They dancing. Make the Mets great again, man. And they're bringing back Carlos Mendoza, their manager. I don't think it was all his fault, but he's got to take some accountability. But they have to. They're not far off, but they have to get more, especially in the starting rotation and in the bullpen. They got to revamp the pitching staff. They got to pitch, man. I know they want to spend big money on the pretty fancy names and the big bats in the lineup, but they gotta, they gotta get it together. They gotta get it together. Like I said, I'm not mad as an Orange fan. I expected it because I didn't want us to get to the playoffs and not win a game or lose in the first round again. And it is what it is. God hates the Mets, they say. So there you go, Uncle Steve. $3.182 billion. Wow, the worst team in baseball. Awesome. So clinch time with friends and family. And there you go. There you go. Yeah. So there. Yeah. Little bro. 341 million spent to end up just like the Nats. Wow. Second highest payroll in baseball. There you have it. And yeah. Worst team money could buy. Oh man. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That's why I said Philly's got to get it done this year. The Braves didn't make the playoffs. The Mets collapsed. The Marlins are still a year or two away, but they aren't really a playoff-bound team. They've only made the playoffs 4 out of their 34 seasons. And who else is in that division? Yeah, it's the Phillies are bust at this point. They got to get it done. They got to get it done this year. If it's not now, I don't know when. But the Mets, unfortunately, Grimace is done, and I'm getting ready to get out of here. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section of who you have going all the way. Who makes it to the World Series? Let us know how you feel about that. Who is going to be a standout player? Does Aaron Judge rise to the occasion? Who's maybe a breakout pitcher or a team that we're not talking about? Do the Padres finally make it? Do the Red Sox beat the Yankees? Now, if the Red Sox beat the Yankees, I think the Red Sox-Yankees winner could be in the World Series, but I'm still going to go with the Mariners, but it would not shock me if the Red Sox beat the Yankees. I think maybe the Blue Jays would rather see. Well, the Blue Jays did win the season series over the Yankees. Let me not be disrespectful. And they did win it over the Red Sox, I believe. So maybe they would rather see the Yankees because they're like, we're not afraid of you. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And yeah, we'll see if that works. I really don't know what. That's why you love postseason baseball, because you don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. Anything could really, take shape. And I'm excited to see it. It starts in about, we'll be at about 30 minutes. So let me know. We just broke down a preview and predictions. I got the Phillies over the Mariners. I'm loving what the Mariners are doing now. If the Mariners get hot, I wouldn't be surprised if they take it either. Like I said, it could be, if you get a team that gets hot with pitching and that shutdown bullpen and they can hit the ball timely enough or manufacture enough runs, that's going to be the team. And like I said, the Mariners are red hot. It's a lot of tough matchups. I kind of would have loved to see the Mets in because it would have made for a better matchup against the Dodgers if that's who they played or something like that. But the Reds are getting an opportunity. Ellie De La Cruz is one of the best players in baseball. If you've not checked him out, check out that brother. They are very good. But Terry Francona, the manager, very good manager, Hall of Fame manager, can't forget him. And they got some good play. Like I said, Hunter Green, hell of a pitcher. And Andrew Abbott. So they have a few good pieces, I think, that can be used moving forward. Like I said, they got to score runs to beat the Dodgers. If they can't score, It's going to be a long series. They gotta limit their opportunities, and they gotta take advantage of their own. They gotta limit the Dodgers on the offensive side. Cubs and Padres. Cubs kind of got to do the same. Kind of got to limit the Padres' explosiveness offensively, and they got to grind it out. Use those arms in the bullpen. Use those matchups and get those tough outs. Tigers in Cleveland. Can Detroit, outside of Turk Skubal, another pitcher, outside of the normal faces in the lineup, can someone else in the lineup rise up to help them? Cleveland never dies. It's never over with them, and their bullpen is pretty good too. So that home field is going to be rocking in Cleveland and New York, Boston. One of the best rivalries in sports in the postseason yet again. Anything could happen, even if the series is one game on the brink of elimination. Truly over. So appreciate everybody watching, joining me this morning. It is now the afternoon. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Shout out to all the new subscribers. We had a great time last night, episode 507. The wonderful, entertaining, electrifying Nitro joined us. Check out episode 507. The one and only Nitro was with us. We interviewed him, talked to him. He came back to the show. Show love. Appreciate him. Shout out to him. And shout out to all of you in the chat. A little early stream today. We'll be live later with NXT. Live tomorrow with Dynamite. We got Washington Commanders preview, Ravens preview, Maryland football preview, and Maryland football postgame as well as the Baltimore Ravens and Washington Commanders postgames this weekend. We'll get more Orioles news and stuff as the season or off-season progresses. We'll see what they do in the manager search. And, yeah, like I said, we'll probably do some sort of recap and kind of give, like, some hot topics where we're talking about maybe some names that we need to look at, for potentially adding to the Baltimore Orioles. I don't think Pete Alonso is the name you want. He's a first baseman, DH. I mean, I'm just going to put him at DH, but I don't know. But he's not coming back apparently. So we'll see what happens there. And, yeah, we'll rock out and have fun with it. Make sure if you're watching on X, come on over to YouTube. And it is the mothership. All of our content's there. So much content to get lost into. Super chats, always appreciated, not obligated. And as always, hit the thumbs up, cost you nothing. Share to a friend and enemy. Leave a comment, vote on the poll, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell. I'm getting ready to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Fun thing today. Best time of the year when it comes to sports. NBA on the way, NHL on the way, baseball playoffs are getting ready to begin, NFL in full swing, as is college football. WNBA as well. Can't forget the ladies as the WNBA finals getting ready to get underway. Throw your ones up, acknowledge us, hit the sports podcast table. NXT tonight, the go-home show for the NXT TNA Invasion. God's favorite host. I'm going to be here. You join me here tonight, and we'll do it all again. And we'll keep rocking and rolling here on the Flex Zone Podcast, your home for professional sports and pro wrestling. Only place giving you sports how you want and when you need it. Hope everyone has a great day. I'll see you later. Have a great day. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Let me know your thoughts. Who wins the World Series and who's going to be a breakout player? Does Aaron Judge rise to the occasion? Who steps up? Is it going to be maybe a lower level team? Will it be any upsets? We want to hear from you in the chat. As you see, I just did my bracket. Make sure you do yours. Check us out. The Flex Zone Podcast. Check out episode 507 last night with Nitro as well. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching. We out of here. Peace.